All right. We gotta talk about it because it's the title on my stream, so I gotta mention it. Last time we jumped on, was it already broken the news that Epstein was innocent?
Yeah, I think so. That's why yeah.
Okay. All right. So Jeffrey Epstein's innocent. Now, I watched a recent podcast with Tucker Carlson. Did you see the one that I think I sent it to you? Mm-hmm, the one with Tucker. Okay. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, I watched probably like the first hour and a half with that one guy. Yeah.
Okay. That's the guy who does the history podcast, by the way. Have you ever listened to those?
Mm-mm.
Fantastic. He's the one who does one of the best ones on Israel and Palestine and that whole conflict and the history behind it. I mean, it's like 8 hours long, but he does everything, all the research, all the backstory, the whole history of the whole situation. So it gives you an opportunity to actually learn the history about that conflict. But he does this for many different historical events. So he's a master historian, master researcher. This guy's fucking professional. So he does it on Epstein, and he does an episode on Epstein. So Tucker has him on, and the shit he talks about with that whole Epstein case just even further blew my mind as to how clearly obvious this guy was, number one, doing the shit that they accused him for in the first place, and then all of a sudden exonerated him of, and then very clearly was an intelligence asset, was working with intelligence for these other countries. I mean, how could it not? How could he not be?
That's one of the biggest and most alarming things was when he first got arrested in Palm Beach or tried in Palm Beach. The attorney general of the district, or I don't know exactly how it works for attorney generals and lawyers, they go to the judge and say, oh, you have to drop this, you have to drop this case down way further than what it is for trafficking. And the judge does it. It's like, why? That doesn't make any sense. This is one of the most well-known people in the area, Palm Beach, trafficking women in and out of his place. And there's like hundreds of them that have come forward saying that he's done misconduct towards them. And the judge is like, oh, yeah, we're just going to drop this. We're going to drop it. Mm-hmm. So they drop it way down from like 200 charges to like one count. And then that's what he ends up going to jail for in Palm Beach.
Yeah. And he wasn't even in jail 24/7. He had privileges to leave on the weekend or some shit, and it was some fucking Pablo Escobar shit where they put him in jail, but he wasn't really in jail. While he was serving his jail time, he would fly on his private jet to other countries. He would go on trips, do shit like that, come back, check in for the week, etc. Just insanity. It was fugazi. It was fugazi. So what was interesting was the backstory about how he got hired at that school in New York, that private school.
Yeah.
And so the guy who hired him as a math teacher at 20 years old to work at this school was the father of the attorney general who prosecuted Epstein the second time.
In New York. Yeah. And that's what he ended up like going to jail and dying in jail from.
Right. So interesting, right? Because the father of the guy who ends up prosecuting him later in life was the one who hired him. Mm-hmm. And the big scandal with that was not scandal, but what was odd about it is they hired Epstein for this prestigious private school in New York, where you have to have incredible credentials. They have the best professors in the entire country. Go work at this school. He was 20, no college degree, no background in teaching, nothing. Hired as the math professor. Interesting. It's odd.
And then he is fired or let go for some reason. People say it's misconduct, maybe talking to kids, a little too friendly after school, whatever it is. So he gets let go from that job, and then he gets hired as an investment analyst at Bear Stearns. It's like, okay, there's another job you need, kind of some requirements to be met, maybe a degree. So he goes there, and then he's doing client financial relations for some of the wealthiest people in the world. How does he get that job?
Right. Connected, right? So somebody at that school, likely that guy who hired him as a teacher, obviously made sure he landed on his feet after they kicked him out of the school, because it sounds like he was, messing with the high school Hussolini. He's always had a fucking eye for the young ladies. And so they put him at the Bear Stearns. and he starts now working up close with these billionaires, multimillionaires, helping them invest their money, when in reality what they were doing is helping these billionaires and millionaires move money in a way where they could avoid being taxed on it, avoid it being seen when they were going to do illicit transactions. And there was one thing I was going to say. Oh, before we move on with the story, I tried this. I checked it because now I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, okay. What background is Epstein? Oh, turns out he's Jewish too. Okay. So let's look at this. I went to look up online on Google. I kept trying to Google, is Jeffrey Epstein Jewish? Google won't show it.
Really?
Won't show it. It won't pop up any search results or confirmation that he's Jewish. You have to go to like AI or Grok to get them to tell you straight up that, yeah, oh yeah, he's Jewish. Isn't that nuts? They hide that information on Google. Google censors shit, for you guys who don't know that.
That's crazy.
It won't tell you. I look up. It won't. I'll type in like, is Jeffrey Epstein Jewish? Won't give me a single search result about it. It's nuts.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
So, okay. So that's that. So then he goes to work at Bear Stearns, starts, brushing up against these guys who are, big money people. And so basically he's doing these under the table transactions that aren't, they're not above the waist. And they end up firing him from Bear Stearns as well, because of these things he was doing was a little bit too illegal for them. So that's whenever they let him go. But once again, made sure that they landed on his feet, and he started working with these other guys. The one billionaire he started working with really closely was that guy who owned Victoria's Secret, right?
Yep.
And that was, hey, smart. It's a good route to start trafficking some other women, right? For the model.
Yep. And then the weirdest thing about that is the power of attorney that he signed over. So this multi-billionaire who owns multiple department stores, Victoria's Secrets, like Hollister, Abercrombie and Fitch.
One sec here. This is happening live. I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Keep giving them the story. I'll be right back.
So going on about Abercrombie and Fitch, and he goes on to sign over the power of attorney to this guy, Jeffrey Epstein. And from there, Jeffrey Epstein can do anything with this guy's money. He can sell Abercrombie and Fitch if he wanted to, or Victoria's Secret, which, why would this guy do that? It doesn't really make sense. Who is this? I mean, maybe because he knew Epstein's background in financial services. He thought he could move some money around shadily between companies. So who knows? Crazy. I don't know where Priyama wanted to go with that, but yeah, I forget his name. That was the owner at the time of those companies, but he did end up signing the power of attorney over, which gave him full range to do whatever he wanted with his money, which what we know now about him was probably some shady things. So I believe actually and I'll tell Priyama this when he gets back, one of the guys, I believe it was recently, maybe it was Abercrombie and Fitch, so I'm thinking of, actually got caught up doing that, trafficking young children, young women. So he got caught up doing that, and he's closely. Lex Wessner, I believe is his name. Let me look it up. Lex Wessner, I believe was his name. So there's too many coincidences to just be one coincidence. Getting let go of the prestigious school in New York City, and then you get a job at Bear Stearns as an investment analyst, working with billionaires and multimillionaires that own all these businesses, and then you start meeting arms dealers, human traffickers. One of the people, I forget his name as well, in that podcast was talking about this group out of Ohio, or maybe that's where the guy who owned Victoria's Secret lived, out of Ohio, but this very wealthy group out of Ohio that was building this mega group of wealthy, I believe they were wealthy Jewish people in the United States. And Jeffrey Epstein was the head of that group, one of the heads of that group. But, still, an open case to this day. Nobody really knows what happened to him or how that happened. But just goes to show the amount of shady business that goes on in this world. It's happening every day. It's happening right now somewhere across the world, somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Asia, somewhere in the United States. There's shady business deals going on by bad people, and they're making a lot of money from it. So, not saying to do shady business, just be wary of it out there. If you're meeting somebody who you think is doing some shady stuff, he probably is. There's so much crazy stuff that goes on in the world.